Hello, this is Wise Owl. Thanks for checking out my channel. This is a quick battle report. It's a 1250 meeting engagement between Ogre Kingdoms and Dark Elves. Here's a look at the battlefield. Our house rules are that all terrain is regular terrain except for one piece. And this game, that's the river, so we won't know what that is until somebody walks through it. In this scenario, you roll to see who goes first. Dark Elves won that roll. And then you roll for each unit and each character, and on a roll of 1, that unit or character is held in reserve. Dark Elves didn't roll a single one, so my opponent got to deploy his entire forces. In the left unit is his general, and in the right unit is a cauldron of blood. And you'll see by the cauldron is proxied, of course. It's the beige cork-colored template in the middle of the witches unit. Then it was Ogre's turn to deploy, and just like Dark Elves, not a single one was rolled, so all of the units and characters came on at once. You'll see here on the left I have a unit of lead belchers, there's a giant in there, a saber tusk, and then a big block of bulls with my level 3 slaughtermaster and a BSB. The BSB is holding that big stonehorn skull as his banner. There's also the magical banner in here that lets you redirect spells on a 2+. I rolled a 6 after deployment, so I stole turn 1. Here's what I did. I moved the lead belchers up. The giant moved into position to take on the witches and blood cauldron. The saber tusk was just hiding back in behind him for a redirect. And I tried to charge the executioners with my ogre bulls, but they failed their charge, so they just moved up 5 inches. In the magic phase, I rolled a 4 and didn't channel, so I tried to get off Toothcracker, which is the +1 to toughness, and failed to cast it. Having moved up into short range, the lead belchers in the shooting phase took some shots at the witches and managed to score 4 or 5 kills there. I can't really see how many models are dead. I think it was 5. And so now there's no close combat, so we're on to Dark Elf turn 1. The executioners made a successful charge into the block of bulls, and the witches charged the giant. His fast cav, those are the fast cav that are basically level 2 wizards, I forget their names. They moved around and set off their 2 spells, one killing the cat, and the second lowering the toughness and strength of that block of bulls. I completely forgot that I had that Rune Maw banner and should have redirected that spell on a 2+, but as you'll see, it turned out that it wouldn't have mattered anyway. With their super frenzy and poison attacks, the witches and the cauldron made quick work of the giant. It even fell in the wrong direction. It landed on the already dead cat, and so there was absolutely no damage done to the witches at all. So because the saber tusk was already dead, there was nothing to prevent the witches from overrunning into the bull combat. So this got pretty messy. As it turned out, we completely forgot about the -1 toughness, -1 strength spell that was on the bulls. So it was sort of like it had been redirected on a 2+ with the Rune Maw banner. In any case, the ogres ended up winning this close combat. We killed about 15 elves and took a bunch of wounds on the ogres, but the elves managed to pass both their leadership tests and stuck around for Ogre Kingdom's turn 2. So things really went from bad to worse in Ogre Kingdom's turn 2. The lead belchers failed a charge into the flank of the Witch's Cauldron unit, and so things just went from bad to worse after that. The magic phase was okay. I managed to get off Toothcracker and Bullgorger, so the effects of the death magic spell were kind of, I guess, in a way dispelled. We had our regular stat line, but the combat did not go well. I don't think I have ever whiffed so many attacks in a close combat before. So you can see with all those red markers there, those are wounds that the ogres took in this second round of close combat. And you'll see at the back behind the elf units how many elves the ogres managed to kill this round. Needless to say, we lost the combat. I needed double ones to stick around, and I managed to roll double sixes, which was great. So the ogres fled. I rolled an 8, and he pursued with both units. He rolled a 9 with his elves and a 10 with his executioners. So that was it for that big block of bulls. I know it looks in this photograph like the ogres are facing the wrong way. We didn't even bother to move them since they had been caught. I just kind of positioned them and tipped them all over to be dead for the photograph. So things are basically over for the ogres. We have 4 lead belchers left on the table, but this is just a friendly game, and so we wanted to see if the Dark Elves could completely table the Ogre Kingdoms, so we played out turn 2. So the Fast Cav Wizards moved around the Cauldron unit to get a shot at the lead belchers. You can see there are only 4 models there. I forgot to mention that in his previous magic phase, when he shot at the cat, that was an irresistible force, so I didn't even have a chance to dispel it, which is why he took a wound on 1 horse. So these wizards cast their magic missile into the lead belchers, and they did 11 wounds. So there's 1 lead belcher stuck there at the top of the screen with 1 wound left on him. He took his panic check and passed. So he was ready to stick around for turn 3, but we just called it there. There was no hope for the Ogre Kingdoms with all of these Dark Elf models still on the table. So it's a clear victory for the Dark Elves. I have no idea what I'm going to do when I face these guys again, but we'll do a little debrief. So we sat and talked about the game a little bit. Knowing that this was such a combat-heavy Dark Elf army, that there was very little shooting, I probably should have deployed a little bit differently way back before the game even started. If I had put my bulls right in the back corner with the lead belchers in front of them and the giant and saber tusk off to one side, I could have sat back and shot and magicked and shot and magicked and made the Dark Elves really come to me. Instead, taking turn 1 and rushing into combat really cost me a lot. The poor giant didn't have a hope, and then being hit by 2 big units of Dark Elves, that poor unit of bulls really couldn't stand a chance, or didn't stand a chance. So I think if I had a chance to play the game again, same scenario, same setup, it might have been smarter to just hold back and play a much more defensive Ogre Kingdoms instead of going on the offensive right away. But let me know what you think. Give me some feedback on how we played the game out. And I know we made a few rule mistakes, but like I said, it's just a friendly game, and I think I made just as many mistakes as he did. So all in all, a great win for the Dark Elves and a sad showing for the Ogre Kingdoms. Thanks for watching, and I'll try and get some more battle reports up soon.